candidates for the 16th District Court will now participate in the third and final part of tonight's forum. Let us begin with our 1-minute opening statement, and it is to you, Mr. McLean.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John McLean, and I'm running for the Livonia District Court Judgeship. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the League of Women Voters and Bright House Network for sponsoring this candidate forum. The concept of justice has been defined as the use of power and authority to uphold what is right. In the administration of justice, a judge must make explicitly clear that he is free from the influence of politicians and special interest groups. In November, we need to elect a judge who is truly nonpartisan, a person that we can trust to uphold the ideal of the law. I come into this race not as a career politician, but as a full-time practicing attorney with over 30 years of extensive in-court experience. Please vote for me on November 4th. Thank you.
And Mr. Kavanaugh.
Thank you. I also would like to thank the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this forum. I've been a practicing lawyer here in the city of Livonia for 25 years, general practice of law. The last 13 years, I have been your city attorney, which includes prosecuting cases in the 16th District Court on a daily basis. I've also been a magistrate in the 16th District Court for 3 years back in the 1980s. I was also a special assistant attorney general. I've also served on the city council. I have experience on both sides of the law as a civil plaintiff attorney and a civil defense attorney. I've represented defendants in criminal cases in courts in district court, circuit court, the Court of Appeals, and Michigan Supreme Court for over 25 years. I have experience on just about every facet of the law. If you want an independent candidate that knows both sides of the law and treats everybody fairly, you found one in Sean Kavanaugh. Thank you.
Okay, our first question begins with Mr. McLean. As a prospective judge, what do you consider your greatest strengths, your greatest weaknesses?
As a prospective judge, I think that my greatest strength is my integrity. In the last 30 years, I have practiced law passionately, defending clients' interests and rights. But in all that time, I have taken a great deal of pride in the fact that I have maintained my integrity. There is a saying that with integrity, nothing else matters, and without integrity, nothing else matters. That is a principle that my father taught me at a very early age, and I think that it's absolutely essential for anyone who wants to be a judge to make sure that they have a strong background, a strong integrity, and I think that that is my best attribute. My weakest is probably sympathy for clients that can't pay their bills.
Mr. Kavanaugh.
Thank you. My strongest attribute is I have an even-handed temper. I don't lose my temper when things get tough for me and get tough for my clients. I'm able to handle stressful situations. A judge has to handle stressful situations all day long, every day. In my career as a prosecutor, I've had police officers sitting next to me and defense attorneys sitting on the other side of the table. I've been able to treat all sides fairly, and yes, some police officers didn't like it when I asked the judge to dismiss their cases, and the people that we prosecuted didn't like it when they were prosecuted. But every time we did that, in my prosecuting and anybody that was working with me, we never were accused of being unfair. Always to be impartial as a judge is the strongest suit that I will bring to the bench. The only weakness I have is similar to Mr. McLean. Thank you.
The next question begins with you, Mr. Kavanaugh. If you observed a party in your courtroom being poorly represented by an unprepared or ineffective lawyer, how would you handle the situation?
Well, it's a touchy situation. When you're a judge, you cannot interfere with the attorney-client relationship. However, if you have an opportunity to bring those people back into chambers where both sides, whether it's a prosecutor and a defense lawyer, or if you're in a civil case, both sides on that, to bring them back in chambers and explain your concerns, That's usually the best way to handle it. Oftentimes, lawyers are stressed out because they have a lot of cases. They're not prepared, and whether it's a matter of economics or they just have taken on too much. Normally, lawyers will handle that situation on their own, but I think bringing them back into chambers and explaining to them your concerns about the representation and the fact that perhaps they're not doing their best to zealously represent their client is the way to handle it.
Mr. McLean.
Well, I think that that is the appropriate way to handle the situation. The judge should ask for a brief adjournment, call both of the attorneys back into chambers, and indicate to the attorney that is having difficulty with his representation, ask him if he needs more time to prepare, and suggest to him that it looks like he needs more time to prepare because the administration of justice is something to be taken very seriously. If he insists that he does not need more time to prepare, then I think the judge has a responsibility to report that attorney to the Attorney Grievance Commission, because obviously one of the biggest miscarriages of justice that anyone can observe is when an ineffective counsel represents somebody in a litigation.
Next question begins with you, Mr. McLean. What is your opinion on more user-friendly court hours to accommodate working people?
Well, I think that that is one of the things that differentiates myself from my opponent. I think the first thing that we need to do in this district court is keep that courthouse open one night a week until 7 p.m. so that citizens who work during the day who want to challenge something like a traffic ticket can do that without losing time from work. In today's economy, isn't that the least that we can do for our citizens? And this is a court that is for the people of the city of Livonia. It's not there for the benefit of the judges and the people that work in the court. We're supposed to be serving the court. So that is one of the things that I have stressed when I've been walking door to door, and it's one of the things that I will make sure that if I'm elected, we keep that courthouse open one night a week till 7 p.m. to better be user-friendly for our citizens.
And to you, Mr. Kavanaugh.
Thank you. The court docket presently is not managed as it is in a lot of other courts. We have a large docket in the city of Livonia. Over 40,000 cases a year come through there on the criminal side and many thousands of cases on the civil side. Most of them are jammed into the morning where we have lines and lines of people, big stacks of cases, and it takes a long time and people are waiting around. I see no reason why we can't use an afternoon docket. Just about every other court I've been in does that. I would be in favor of a night court, except we have employees and unions who have restrictions on when they will work and what they will agree to do in terms of hours of work. The other thing we can do to make it user-friendly is have a civil mediation where we have civil cases that are mediated by attorneys so they're settled ahead of time. We can have pre-formal hearings so people don't have to come in as witnesses on accident cases and waste time off work for two separate hearings when they're the victims. There's a lot of things we can do to manage that court more effectively.